This is Football Night in America, built by Lowe's.
Welcome to the Football Night in America podcast. We are hanging out right outside of Acrisure Stadium. We're still waiting for the end of the Steelers and the Packers game, but any way you slice it this week, guys, the AFC has been rolling against the NFC. Maria Taylor, we got Matthew Berry, Mike Florio, Jason Garrett. Devin McCourty wanted to put on like sweats or something and get nice and comfortable and warm up first, so he's not joining us for the podcast this week. But let's start with the AFC team that made the biggest mark on you so far this week.
What? Boy, there's a couple to choose from, but I'll say the Ravens. Left for dead, and then Lamar Jackson isn't going to play. And I was just like, well, here goes the season. And then Tyler Huntley comes out. They're playing against a red-hot Chicago Bears team, and out of the bye, that was a gutty win. Because not only did they beat them, they dominated them. And I thought Huntley's been up and down throughout in his career, and certainly this season. I thought that was the biggest statement win. Because they've got a chance in the AFC North now.
Mm-hmm. The last time the Dallas Cowboys beat the Denver Broncos, this guy was playing for the Dallas Cowboys. That's how long ago it was. It was 1995. And for the Broncos, after a couple of sluggish games against the two New York teams, they came out, they established themselves. The offense was working. The defense did what it had to do. And the Broncos, at 6-2, looked like legitimate contenders, and they extended that run against the Cowboys another, 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. For me, it was Buffalo. A lot of questions about Buffalo here the last few weeks. They got the bye. Sean McDermott's record after a bye, he's undefeated. And I just had the sense they were going to get it right. Carolina was kind of coming on. People felt like, hey, Carolina's going to be able to run the ball against Buffalo. Not so fast. Buffalo went down there and dominated. They got their running game going. Josh Allen was a complimentary player. Their defense stood up. So it was an impressive win for me.
Another game that I just want us to talk about, it's the Eagles and getting the ground game going, specifically for Saquon Barkley, when it's the second play of the game and he just bursts out for a 64, 65-yard touchdown. You know it's going to be his day, but what does it mean for the Eagles to finally get that aspect of the game rolling?
You know, it was the first time it started to look a little bit like last year. You know, we were in Philadelphia a lot. We saw them play a lot down the stretch, and it just seemed like that kind of play showed up in every game. Offensive line controls the line of scrimmage. Saquon sees a crease, and he hits it and goes for a long touchdown. We haven't seen that at all this year. So it was reminiscent of that, and I think if they get that going, they're really hard to stop because they have weapons outside, and it just provides a balance and ability to attack different ways that's hard on defenses.
Last week they were able to pass when they had to. This week they were able to run when they had to, and they're finding that ability to dictate. Not that it's going to be the same every given week, but they know what their identity is going to be, and they go out and do it. So it's starting to come around. That mini bye came at a perfect time. It seems like they got their stuff together, and now they have the full bye before they have to play again. They'll play the Packers, so we'll see if they can take it on the road.
Yeah, meanwhile, I mean, no A.J. Brown in this game, and I thought, as you sort of think about the rest of that division, Dallas loses today. Obviously, the Giants lose because they lose to the Eagles. Commanders play on Monday night, but they're more than 2 touchdown underdogs without Jaden Daniels on the road at Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs feel like that's probably going to be a loss for Washington. And so now Philadelphia can sort of feel like, all right, they can take their time. Feels like they're in the driver's seat for this division significantly. Just want to take one moment here because I know they lost the game, but the Giants, as long as we're just talking about this game, Cam Scadaboo with just an absolutely brutal injury that obviously looks like it's season ending after losing Malik Neighbors. They've had injuries up and down, and they have not quit on Brian Daboll. They were in this game, they got a couple of very questionable calls there, but I'm just impressed with the Giants continuing to lose players but continue to be gutty. I think Jackson Dart is something special.
It wasn't questionable. They got screwed. That's what somebody said on Football
I was
Night
trying to be nicer.
I don't know who.
Way to be nice. Way to keep it kosher.
I know Florio will pick it up. If I go nice, he'll go naughty.
Yeah.
But they really did get screwed. They did.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad.
You can't have the quick whistle on the tush push. You can't. It's not just a matter of getting to the first down yardage and then the play's over. It's not a touchdown. The play continues once you've gotten to the first down until the forward progress is stopped. And the forward progress wasn't stopped, and the ball did come out. And And that's one of the weird quirks in the rule. As long as they say forward progress was stopped, there's nothing they can do about it on replay.
Well, I get a little tired. I'm trying to be as neutral as I can with the officiating.
Yeah.
But I get a little tired of saying this is a hard play to officiate. Just officiate the play. Whatever you see, if there's a false start, if the left guard leaves early, throw a flag. Okay, at the end of the play, there's no different than any other play. There's a scrum of people there, and if there's still movement, you let it play out. But this idea that there's something unique about this play that makes it particularly hard to officiate, I'm really not buying it. Is it any harder than trying to judge offense or defensive pass interference on a long ball down the field in a split second? These are hard plays. This is what you guys get paid to do, and it disappoints me that they always go back to that. It was a poorly officiated play. The Giants did, in fact, get screwed.
There was also a long touchdown pass to Darius Slayton that they called back due to offensive pass interference, and on replay, he was being grabbed. His jersey was grabbed, his hand was grabbed, and it either should have been a no call or pass interference on the defense. That was a tough one as well.
Well, let's be careful here. The Eagles, at the end of the day, dominated this game, and
There's no question.
and they deserved to win. But the Giants had moments of hope, and that was one of them. And you just like to see them get that right.
Yeah, it could have been a turning point, but a couple plays later, instead, the Eagles go on to score, and so that could have been a momentum swing that the Giants needed in that game, especially on the road. Let's talk about the Jets, because one thing they needed was a win on the season. We do not have any more winless teams in the NFL. Aaron Glenn, as a head coach, gets his first win. And this comes, Florio, we'll go to you after all the criticism was raining down on Justin Fields' head. I mean, the talk from Woody Johnson about, the rating of their quarterback, and if we could just complete a pass, then we would be okay, or it would look good. Justin Fields had to handle that, and then they walk away with the win. What was your takeaway from just like the week that was the New York Jets?
It is amazing when Woody Johnson said what he said. It was delivered so nonchalantly and cold-bloodedly that it really didn't register right away the significance of an owner calling out a player. Like, that's never happened. We talked about it this week on PFT Live. Not even Jerry Jones has ever gone that far in all the things he's said over the years, to call a player out, criticize a player, and then it looked like he was going to be benched until they needed him because Tyrod Taylor couldn't play, and he serves up the victory. So I guess Woody Johnson should just call someone out every week, and then that guy's going to respond.
He's like, I'm calling him up, not out.
Yeah.
You know what coaches say.
Hats off to Justin Fields to be able to respond not only to that, but just how tough their start has been and all the noise that a guy like that in that position in New York has to deal with. And the same thing for Aaron Glenn. They haven't been a good team. They've had issues in all parts of their team, but just to hang in there, keep fighting, keep battling. For me, it was a shocker of the day after what Cincinnati did to Pittsburgh last week. I thought Cincinnati would get themselves going. It seemed like they were certainly playing better on offense with Flacco playing. Their defense seemed to be making some improvements. And then for the Jets to kind of hang in there and come back and win that game, credit those guys.
Yeah, big credit to Justin Fields. Big game from Breece Hall as well.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn, the whole coaching staff kept believing. They were down big. They easily could have folded their tent saying, we're on to 0-8, but they kept fighting back, and they come away with a victory. The question that we were given here was, does this game say more about the Jets or the Bengals? And I'm going to choose the Bengals because, to your point, Coach, this is one of the best offenses in the NFL. They've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Joe Flacco was able to step in and able to put up a ton of points against the Steelers as well. They put up almost 40 points. You put up almost 40 points, you should win a game in the NFL. And yet this struggling offense came to life against the Bengals. This is an indictment on the front office, on the Bengals staff, because that offense deserves better than that defense.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the locker room afterwards for the Jets, because I feel like a weight was lifted off of us, too. Like, I don't know how Aaron Glenn feels, but that's got to be an amazing feeling. You get the game ball, you get to celebrate. Yeah, that's like the monkeys off your back now.
No, that's an incredible feeling. But, 8 weeks of losing in the NFL, it's like 10 lifetimes. And I know AG, he's a young-looking guy who's in great shape, but there's a lot more gray in his beard and a lot more gray on top of his head here the last couple months. And just so happy for him. And, he's trying to establish a culture with guys who are going to fight and battle. And he has Detroit to fall back on. He was with Dan Campbell when Dan Campbell started 4-19-1 in his first 24 games. So we understand staying the course, keep fighting, keep battling. That's what they're doing there. And, again, credit them as a hell of a win.
All right, guys, it's time for our speed round. We're doing a special Happy Halloween. Remember, Halloween is on Friday. Okay, Earn Your Sunday, presented by Lowe's speed round. The blank monster of the NFL is, so the vampire of the NFL is?
I'll say Baltimore. They rose from the dead, right? That's the point of a vampire, is he rise from the dead.
I thought
the Baltimore
vampires
Ravens.
He sucks blood. Yeah.
Vampires never die, Matthew.
Vampires never die. All right, fine. Well, listen, I'm trying to go along with the premise of this thing. It's not my fault. But they do. I guess they never do die. The same with the Baltimore. Then the Ravens still qualify because they didn't die, right? You can't kill them. You thought they were dead. They got no Lamar Jackson. They're 1-5 or whatever they're. They think they're dead and they come back and they end up getting a big win against the Bears.
I didn't understand.
I'll say the vampire.
I didn't understand the question either. So.
Yeah, exactly, JG.
I like that you throw him under the bus first.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Maria. Somebody noticed what he did.
I'll say the Chiefs because, like, what does a vampire do? Like, when you're asleep, they sneak into your house and they suck your blood. And, like, all these teams have forgotten about the Chiefs and what have they been doing in recent weeks. And I think as the season goes on, they're just going to keep doing that.
Yeah, I still don't understand the question. Let's go to the next one.
I didn't either.
Okay, we're going to start with you on this one. The ghost of the NFL is.
The ghost. The ghost.
And you can't say Red Grange.
Yeah, I was going to say the Galloping Ghost, Red Grange, number 77. I'm trying to buy a little time.
You are, yeah. Because I don't know what y'all are talking about.
I would say the ghost for me is Atlanta. And I don't know why, but they just seem to not show up about every other second or third game. They've had some bad losses this year. I think they've shown us at different times, boy, this can be a dynamic offense. Boy, they're playing defense down there. You like their spirit. You like their energy. The next week, it's a dud. So I guess a ghost for me would be Atlanta for their disappearing act.
And I'll go with Atlanta for a different reason. You inspired me. They're the Bruce Willis ghost in The Sixth Sense. Now, 27 years, spoiler alert, they were dead the whole time. They got
that's a good one.
They got that big win. They got that. Yeah, you ever see that movie?
I did.
He's dead the whole time. You ever figure that out at the end? But remember when they won that game? Like, how many teams, seriously, how many teams this year have had this big primetime win? Yeah. And then they just disappear? And Michael Penix Jr. said, we've arrived now. Well, they left. They were, and the ring hits the ground and it rolls away, and we realize they were dead the whole time.
Okay, this is kind of hurt my feelings. Can we pick
That's
someone other than the Falcons?
I thought he was going to go with like another ghost with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg. But I will say in terms of a ghost that sort of pops in and out, that does disappear. JG, to your point, I'll say the Houston Texans. Impressive win at home today against the 49ers. But then there's other times where you're like, how is this team a playoff team? There are times where C.J. Stroud looks like he's seeing ghosts behind that offensive line. But then there's also times when the defense shows up the way they did and they're dominating. So they pop in and out. They're good, they're bad, they're good, they're bad, similar to Atlanta.
These are by far the most creative illusions that we've had all year long.
You guys are doing so good, can I say. And that's after a long, cold night. They're just making stuff up. You're pulling it out of your you-know-what.
Yeah.
The next one is the werewolf of the NFL. I'll give you guys a little time. I want it to be Myles Garrett for me because he had 5 sacks in this one, and I just feel like he's a beast, but it's unfortunate that the Browns can't find a way to rally around him, and they still get the loss. But we had to create an entire highlight package for him.
I literally had to look up to define what a werewolf is. And so a werewolf changes into, it's a human that changes into a wolf. Sometimes,
you didn't know what a werewolf is?
I wanted to know what the definition was because I thought, there's a chance JG with his Princeton education is going to school me out here. So anyway.
Are you aware what a fish is?
What? I've heard what a fish is. For the purposes of this dumb segment, Florio, I'm trying to answer it. So I wanted to figure out exactly. Anyway, the definition of a werewolf is a human that turns into a wolf. Sometimes, they can't control it uncontrollably. And I'm going to say Philadelphia. Sometimes they're a passing team. Sometimes they're a rushing team. Sometimes they're good defensively. Sometimes their secondary gets lit up, right? Especially if they go away from Mitchell. So I'm going to say a werewolf, but it feels like whenever their backs are against the wall, similar to a werewolf, sort of the claws come out and they fight back.
All right, I'm going to be mean-spirited. I'm going to say Carson Wentz because he turned into a werewolf on Thursday night and was shot repeatedly by silver bullets, apparently, because every time he got hit, it looked like he was in complete and total mortal pain. And I don't know why they left him in the game. At some point, they got to let from Centennial High.
Yeah,
Max Brosmer. They got to let him see what he can do. So I think it's time for the Vikings to respectfully say to Carson Wentz, here's the real silver bullet.
We used to use the word werewolf in a scouting report. Like, this guy's a werewolf, kind of to what Maria was saying about Myles Garrett. It was always a positive in football. And for me, it's probably a little bit New England. New England, they've been dormant for a while, and the werewolf is back. And, Mike Vrabel's done a heck of a job there. I love what they've done throughout their organization, building the kind of team that he wants to have. And I think New England's finally getting their claws back, and it's fun to see.
All right, what about Frankenstein, Florio? I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I've given this one just a little bit of thought. I'm going to say it's the Cowboys' defense, because it's a bunch of different parts with an abnormal brain, right? And can't do anything ultimately at the end of the day. It's got all the parts. Yep. It gets up and it walks around, but the abnormal brain that Jerry put in there when they traded Micah Parsons keeps the thing from doing anything. Abby normal. Abby.
Yeah, that was
Abby normal.
Frankenstein's a monster, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of it. And again,
with an abnormal brain.
And in a good way. So I'm trying to play on your thoughts here.
He's buying time again.
What's going
Why
on?
don't you yell at him for not knowing who Frankenstein was? He's asked that with a question, Florio. Good Lord.
Why don't you jump in there?
Yeah. I will. I think your premise there is right in terms of what's been pieced together, Florio. So I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's out there. Every single week it's a different guy out there on offense. They lose Mike Evans. They get him back. They lose him again. Chris Godwin is in there. Then he comes out. They got Ibuka. He's kind of got no Bucky Irving. Like, they're piecing it together out there on offense. Baker Mayfield didn't have a great game, but they gutted out a win against the Saints, divisional game. So I'll say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who seem to be piecing it together week in, week out. I'll give you an honorable mention here, JG, that you can steal. I think the 49ers are similar in terms of how they're piecing it together, how Kyle is putting different pieces on offense together.
I really like how this Frankenstein thing is rolled into piecing together. I get it.
That's what Frankenstein is.
I get it. I like it. But the last part of Frankenstein is he's a monster. And that's why I'm going to Indianapolis. They've been pieced together a little bit. The most important decision that they made was in the offseason. Lou Anarumo to be their defensive coordinator. Most importantly, Daniel Jones to be their quarterback. Again, piecing together parts from around the league, and they are, in fact, a monster. They're the best team in football right now.
Okay.
How was that?
That was
a good
good.
recovery.
That was good. I mean, you had 20
Pretty
minutes
good.
to figure it out because you dished it away.
Fairness.
This is the last one, the Grim Reaper. We'll start with you, Matthew.
I'll say the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like, similar to what Florio was saying earlier. Like, I mean, I feel like you go to Arrowhead and you're facing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and like, you're done. Colts would also be a good choice as well. Like, they're just blowing out people. But for me, I'm going to say the Chiefs because I still think they're the best team in the AFC. All due respect to the Colts.
Well, the Grim Reaper has an inevitability. We can run, but we cannot hide.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's the Minnesota Vikings because every year it's inevitable. At some point, in every way imaginable, eventually they are going to fail. And fitting with the Grim Reaper, I will be long dead by the time they ever win a Super Bowl. I've told my son, you will be listening and watching the game at my tombstone.
Yeah.
And there's a chance his son will be watching at both our tombstones.
It gets so dark so fast.
Grim Reaper.
So much emotion and so much baggage.
I know.
50 years.
Poor Florio's kids now got to think about your tombstone,
Exactly.
and rooting for the Vikings. Like, it's a lot.
At some point,
That's
we got
dark.
to take the backpack off our shoulder, right, and just leave it there and walk.
When I
forward.
die.
I'm going back to Buffalo. Grim Reaper from the standpoint of they're the ones doing the killing, so to speak. And I think Buffalo is that team. Everybody thought they were dead. They're not dead. They're going to be there down the stretch.
Yeah, this was great because usually when it's a speed round, I hop in. I'm like, guys, be faster. But to watch y'all just
she wanted to see us
so I wanted
struggle.
to see you struggle.
Always struggle.
You're the Grim Reaper.
I am. Always going to come in.
I think once we went, we were aggressive. None of it really made much sense.
I know. Our producers are like,
when
never
I looked at the
anything
sheet-
abstract again.
When I looked at the sheet, I said, I think I need to develop an illness and leave.
You have a concussion?
Yeah.
You have a concussion. Okay.
I thought through my answer.
I was limited in practice.
We've
No, I
done
was
all
full.
we can do. We hope that you have an amazing Halloween, and we're going to see you next week. We've got the Commanders and the Seahawks coming off of a bye. Should be a really good one. We're going to watch the rest of this game. It's 19-14? Okay, let's see if our pick makes it. Packers, go Pack. Make sure you join us NBC, 7 Eastern Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights From NBC Sports,